So, good evening, Middle States region.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey.
Good evening.
Hi.
Everybody tonight. Good, ready to get our Regional Honors Institute going, right? Do I have the wrong PowerPoint? I don't, hold on one second. Nope, I don't. Okay, so welcome. And even though that says MSR Leads, it's supposed to say Middle States Regional Honors Institute. And we welcome you all here for our 3-week look at the honors study topic and honors in action more specifically, and how that is a very important part of engaging in Phi Theta Kappa activities with your campus. Some of you may have some experience with it from last year because you were with your chapter and you engaged in an honors in action project. Some maybe it's the first time you're hearing about it and maybe a little nervous. And we are here to give you all the tools over the next 3 weeks to be successful at honors in action. Just want to ask everybody if they can mute their microphones for right now. That'll help us. Thank you. So for those of you who are just joining us for the first time this summer, if you weren't able to join us for MSR Leads, my name is Patty Banetta. I'm the regional coordinator for the Middle States region. And I'm really proud that we are able to continue providing our members and our chapters with the tools that they need in a virtual way this past summer and moving forward. So thank you for being with us. I have an outstanding team of associate regional coordinators that help support the region. Dr. Sarah Ipson from the Community College of Philadelphia, representing the state of Pennsylvania. We have Mike McCluskey, my colleague at Delaware Tech, who is the associate regional coordinator for the state of Delaware. I think Mike is with us. Okay. Mike, we have Linda Gronberg who can be with us this time. Get ready for vacation. She is our Maryland Associate Regional Coordinator. And then we have Professor Gasparino, who's our New Jersey Associate Regional Coordinator.
Everybody.
We also have, I don't know if Caroline's with us. Caroline is part of our social media staff and production. Caroline Sedgel, a former regional officer. And we have Jason Aguila with us tonight, who does all of our production and photography and all of that, and puts all of our shows together. So we're grateful for all of them, along with the regional coordinator team. We have an outstanding regional officer team. And Brianna, I'm going to leave this up to you. Would you like to introduce your team?
I most certainly can. Hi, everyone. My name is Bree Barone. I'm your 2020-2021 regional president. I serve as your regional officer team alongside some pretty great people. So let me go ahead and introduce them. From the Delaware Technical Community College, your Delaware State President, Kimby Bellacusi. From the Allegheny College of Maryland, your DC Maryland State President, Ms. Rachel Mickle.
Hey, everyone.
From Northampton Community College, your Pennsylvania State President, Mr. Evan Meister.
Hello.
And from Rowan College of South Jersey, your New Jersey State President, Ms. Candace Genta.
Hey, guys.
Thanks, guys. We're going to be hearing more from the regional officers a little later. They have been working really diligently over the last couple of weeks to pull this very different Regional Honors Institute together. And you're going to hear a story a little later on from Rachel and Bree, where even though it's different, it's kind of strange how it's all lining up for this team and what they want to do moving forward. So we look forward to that. Also supporting us this week, these next 3 weeks, is the Alumni Association. So Ryan Puebla is the current president. So Ryan, would you like to do the honors?
Of course, Patty. Hi, everyone. So we have Rachel Whitman, who is the immediate past president, with us today. We have Courtney Rice, the current vice president.
Hi, everyone.
Jennifer Nee, who is the secretary. We have Samantha Bowman, who is member at large. Michael Kearns, who is also member at large. Nikki Malone, who is member at large.
Hi, everyone.
And we have Evan Krieger, who is also member at large.
Hi, guys.
Masir,
Hi.
Sherry.
Hi.
Then we have our alumni advisor, Marianne DeStefano. And we have our Chief Financial Officer, Diane Scholl.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. You will be meeting a lot of the alumni when we have our breakout sessions, and special shout out to all of them who have supported this programming, both in MSR Leads and now with the Honors Institute. I did want to mention that the Google Classroom is up and running, and we're going to show that in a little bit. And Nikki Malone's been helping us make that more interactive for us, along with Evan Krieger. So I wanted to thank them for all their hard work this past couple. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. These last couple of days in getting us to this point. So the classroom is open, and we are just posted everything that you're going to need for week number 1 and also moving forward. We had hoped to get some things up on our website, but there's been a delay. We are getting a brand new website. We'll be the first of the 29 regions to get a brand new website, and they're currently working on it. So hopefully it'll catch up to what we're doing, and we'll have all of this. We will share, as we've always done, recordings of the meeting. So if you want to go back and take a look at what we have gone over, and if you have any questions or any of that, or you want to show the recordings during your chapter meeting. Before I get started, I just wanted to see for a second, and if you can find on your reactions button on your Zoom, it's either reactions or under more, it's probably reactions, thumbs up or the clapping one. There you go, thumbs up. Either one. I want to see, please post your reaction if positively, if either one, if you have started looking at the honor study topic for this year already. Awesome. That's great. Wow, quite a few. Okay. Quite a few. My goodness, awesome. Okay, that's a great start. And be honest, how many of you have looked at it and go, I have no idea what I'm doing? Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure, right? Also, be honest, how many of you are like, there's no way we're going to be able to do this in a virtual environment? How are we going to do this, right? Right? Quite a few, yeah. And there's some of you even thinking, is it even going to be possible for us to be successful at this? Right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
We're here to tell you that yes, it is. So if you, and I think more of our advisors, and before I get any further, we have lots of advisors joining us tonight, and I really appreciate them participating in this. And I hope you know that your advisor is here. So let's hands up or give them a good reaction for being part of this this evening. We're so appreciative. What we've decided for some of the advisors that have been to several past Honors Institutes, we've done them in different sorts of ways. This one's going to be a kind of a mix of everything, but we're really going to be focusing the next 3 weeks on the mechanics, specifically the mechanics of Honors in Action. Not so much the topic itself, although you'll hear it blend in a little bit over the next 3 weeks, but we are really going to focus on the mechanics and how you can be successful, how to get started, how not to be afraid of the term, define what your research question is, because sometimes when we get to that point, everybody goes, and we don't know how to get started. So we're going to be focusing the next 3 weeks solely on the mechanics of honors in action, and helping you understand that there are so many tools, more tools than ever, that are going to help you get through this and for your chapter to be successful. And part of the rest of the focus of what we'll be doing, especially tonight, is trying to connect to the why. You know, why is this important for you as a member to do? Why is this important as a chapter? How many of you ever take an algebra class and go, why am I taking this class? I'm never going to use algebra again, right? Why do Candace is shaking her head. I'm never going to use algebra. Why do I have to do it? And I know that there are some folks that, yeah, Hadil, I'm with you right there. Some of you are probably, when we get in the throes of an honors in action project, going, why am I doing this? I'm never going to have to do this again. And that's where I will say to you, wrong. Wrong. It's wrong. This is going to help you become, even if you're not going to transfer to the four-year university right away and use the tools that you will be taught about how to research and what are quality academic resources and all of that. We want you to have a love for lifelong learning, and also to get out of this an opportunity to make real change in your communities, no matter where it is, based on research and based on answering the question or fixing an issue. So yes, you will use it. You might not use it in this format, but something towards it. And so that's the importance of it. And you're going to hear more from the alumni about that later. So I think what I'd like to do now is talk a little bit about the honor study topic itself. I hope that at some point, I'm just going to hold up my copy of it as to not mess up my computer, but this is the honor study topic. And I hope you have gone on to ptk.org, and we'll show you that later, to download a copy of it. This is like the book. This is the guide. This is everything that you need to know about the honor study topic is in here. And what did I want to point out, that on the last pages, there is the actual history of all of the honor study topics we've had since 1968, right? And before, it was just a matter of they would have honors institutes, and that's what it was called. And up until about 2008-ish, I believe, there wasn't really something called an honors in action project. It was, you did hallmark entries, and they were based on all 4 hallmarks. And what it ended up being was, everybody was doing service for every single hallmark. Every project they did was service oriented. Thank you, Bree. Bree put it up in the chat if you wanted to access it, to take a look at it. And it got to the point where chapters were just doing a whole lot, right? Doing a lot of work. And it was just many activities. And with everything that a chapter has to do to have all those service projects was kind of taking, you know, affecting our students in a way. So hence the idea of honors in action was born, is when they decided to take all 4 hallmarks and have you start with the research part, because we are Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. We are a scholarly honor society. So everything we do starts with scholarship. And so if we're starting with the scholarship hallmark, we are taking an in-depth look at something and applying it to the rest of the hallmarks, right? To find an answer, to put it into action, hence the service hallmark. And along the way, there's a lot of leadership involved, because we have to stay organized, we have to manage, we have to implement, we have to set objectives. And then there's the whole collaborative piece, which is the fellowship hallmark. So if you're doing one really great honors in action project, you're touching on all 4 of those hallmarks, and you are focusing on starting with the research, getting the answer, and making an impact both on the, you know, the local, the regional, and possible international levels of the society. So some really outstanding honors in action hallmarks we've had in our region. They end up being published in the Civic Journal, and we'll talk about that a couple weeks from now in the last week. But it's to be published in some sort of way, your work to be published is really an exciting achievement. And no matter whether you have 2 active members or a huge chapter with a lot of active members, Honors in Action can be successful. It can be done. And we are going to be here all through this time to show you how to do that. So enough about the history. And I do want to say this year is just so you make sure, and it's very interesting, it's very broad and it's very timely, right? To the 7th generation, inheritance and legacy. And then within there, there are 7 themes, but the overarching title is To the 7th Generation, Inheritance and Legacy. And let me just go back to one of the things that I would love to see, to get your feedback on, and then we're going to do it together. How many of you, we're going to start talking about tools, and the very most important tool, the newest tool that there is to understanding Honors in Action is Research Edge. So hands up, if you've, not hands up, or give me a reaction. Have you started Research Edge? Have you even found it? Have you completed it? Are you halfway through? Right? Right? We're sorry. Are you? All right. Raise your hand if you're thinking about it. Everybody should be, yes, everybody should be positive in thinking about it, because guess what I'm going to show you tonight? I'm going to show you Research Edge. And we are going to look at the whole first section. And you will see, instead of me creating PowerPoints, recreating everything that's in Research Edge, we're actually going to do it from Research Edge. So this way, when we get done tonight, you can hop on to research, to get an edge at ptk.org and complete that first level. And you'll know, you'll be able to refresh everything that we talked about today. So let me get that ready. And before I share my screen, here we go. All right, here we go. Research Edge, here we go. So Research Edge is the newest of the PTK edges. You can find that at, and Bree, if you can type it into the chat, getanedge.ptk.org. And you have to sign into it using your Phi Theta Kappa credentials. And once you get there, you will see there's all the other edges, but we want to focus on Research Edge. And you click on Research Edge. Aha, you have to log into it. Did I say that? I thought I was logged in. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. PJ, are they still seeing Research Edge here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So when you open it up, here it is, right? It has 4 levels. It's an online course. It's really very easy to do. Over here is all of your tabs to each of the levels. It shows you your grades as you're going through, the welcome and all of that. And this is where you get started. So Unit 1 is the introduction. Okay, I'm gonna just quick show you the course map so you can see what happens. You have to complete at least the pre-test found in Unit 1. And then after the pre-test, you complete the remaining unit and the activities will open up. And then the units must be completed in order for Research Edge. So the quiz for Units 2, 3, and 4 will be available after every activity in that unit is marked complete. And then you earn badges for each of the levels. And if you pass with 80% or higher, and believe me, it's pretty easy. I already did the pre-test so that we could open it up, because I wanted to get to this, where it talks about what is Honors in Action. What is Honors in Action? Let's click to find out more. So Phi Theta Kappa and its connection to Honors in Action. Honors in Action is designed to help Phi Theta Kappa fulfill the second part of its mission. The mission of Phi Theta Kappa is to recognize academic achievement of college students, that's based on your GPA, and to provide opportunities for them to grow as scholars and leaders. And that's why Honors in Action fulfills that second part of the mission. It's research-based with intentional service. So Phi Theta Kappa features a remarkable program called Honors in Action that is designed to engage students in informed action, meant to foster student success and help the organization fulfill its mission of providing college students opportunities to grow as scholars and leaders. By engaging in the academic research process from the beginning, I can't say that enough, from the beginning, developing a research question, compiling the research, and presenting it to a wider audience via the Hallmark Award entry process, students gain valuable research and service learning experience. Some of you may have service learning courses at your college. I mean, this is similar to a service learning course in how they go about the process. The students' engagement does not stop at academic research, as they will take the lessons learned from the research and analysis, process and create an action-oriented project to provide tangible support within the issue area in their community. Through these experiences, students will build both practical and academic skills. By working closely with their peers, as well as campus and community leaders, students will learn not only how to research an issue, but how to utilize resources and build professional leaderships. Remember earlier when I talked about the 4 hallmarks of the society and how all of those filter into the honors in action? You can see that here. Building both practical and academic skills through research, that's the scholarly part. Working closely with peers as well as your campus and community leaders, that's fellowship or collaboration. How to utilize resources and build professional relationships, that's the leadership hallmark. So as you can see, it's all meshed together, it's all connected. Learning outcomes for honors in action. So participation in honors in action contributes to personal, academic, and career development. It affords students opportunities to have an impact on their campuses and in their communities by addressing challenges related to the honors study topic research. Members who participate in the development and implementation of an honors in action project will be able to, and there are 7 objectives. Create awareness of the importance of seeking out multiple perspectives to augment understanding of a real-world, complex, interdisciplinary topic and improve decision-making. And the words I really want to focus on in that particular sentence that are really important in honors in action are creating awareness of the importance of seeking out multiple perspectives. So you have to look at both sides or many sides of an issue, not just the one side. The second objective, demonstrate analytical and critical thinking skills to draw research conclusions. You want to be able to, at the end of doing all of your research, be able to sit there as a chapter or as a team and figure out what is the data telling you? What is the research telling you? What kind of, how is the research helping you get to the next part in implementing an action plan? Initiate real-world problem solving by developing an in-depth, action-oriented solution to make a difference for a challenge related to the honors study topic research. Plan and set goals for each step of the honors in action process. And it's really, it's critical. We're going to talk about how many sets of objectives that you need to create, you know, to have an effective, you know, you have to have research objectives and then your objectives for your action, your honors and action plan. Setting goals is the way. Setting goals by using the tools that Phi Theta Kappa offers helps you map out your honors and action journey. Develop capacities to lead, manage, motivate self and others to perform in complicated environments and accomplish goals. Collaborate and create effective teams to enhance project impact, and cultivate reflective skills and aptitudes to assess progress, adjust to circumstances, and measure results quantitatively and qualitatively. So we're going to talk more about those particular objectives in a couple of next week when we start dissecting all of this. But all of these skills in this particular objective we need as, you know, a student, you know, how to reflect, you know, how to judge our progress on different things, whether it's in the classroom or in a project that we're doing. Being able to adjust, you know, a team may come up with one idea and it's not working and you have to go to plan B. Sometimes it's plan C and plan D, and how to adjust to those different changes. and also how to measure how well you're doing along the way, both by numbers and data, and also by what is being said. You know, what have been some of the reactions to what you are doing for that. So the long and short of it is achievement of those learning outcomes builds the analytical and collaborative problem solving and leadership skills necessary and valued in advanced academic pursuits, work, places, and communities. So, brief overview, and important. Honors and action projects require substantive academic investigation of a theme related to the society's current honor study topic. The theme you select should be directly connected to and provide supporting evidence for the development of the action component of your project. Honors and action projects required to address a need in your community that was discovered through your research and analysis into the society's current honor study topic. I'm going to pause right here and say to you, once you start Research Edge and you complete it, you can always go back. So there's nothing that you need to memorize or write down now. I just want you to know that once you access it in Research Edge, you can always go back and refresh your memory on it. The project, let me move this a second. The components of an honors and action project are investigate and analyze. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. And your activities in self-study are going to be related to investigate and analyze. And I'm not going to read them to you. The following week, it's act and collaborate. How to figure out what your analysis has led you to as far as coming up with that service project and collaborating with your team and with your college. And then also the final one is assess and reflect. Reflecting on it and then getting ready to write your hallmark awards. So those are the components of an honors and action project. Remember I talked about tools, and there are a lot of tools. So from here, if I were to select honors program guide, you would go directly to the PDF version of the guide. Honors and action planning and judging rubric. We're going to be talking about more of that over the next 2 weeks, where this is a guide to where you're using the rubric to guide your way, to making sure that you're hitting all the parts that you want to get the most points on. New this year, I love this, and we have even more good news. Only Middle States has this good news, and we'll talk about that later, but there's an honors and action workbook where you can use this to help prompt your chapter through the process from the very beginning. And in a little bit, we're going to show a digital version of this that the Middle States Regional Alumni Association worked diligently on. And you'll have access to through our Google Classroom, which will make things easier. And then also Research Edge. So these are the 4 big tools that you should access frequently through the process. Let's see, we're at 7:33. How to use the program guide. Exploring the guide. So this week we're going to have you guys do some of the things that are here. Reading the honors study topic essay, pages 5 to 7, because it frames the entire topic. We're going to have you check out the 7 honors study topic themes. You're going to read the overarching questions located under the themes. You're going to read the introduction to the theme and then also check out more. So that's how you use the guide to get, more connected to what the topic is about. Then there's read and analyze the honors and action planning rubric 22 through 24. We're going to do that later on, I think in week 2. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time here. And I'm going to end at this point here because this would be a little, once you log on to Research Edge and you are reading through all that, this would be an activity that you would complete. So I'm going to stop here in Research Edge. So now I'm going to show you half of the first level of level 1 in Research Edge. How many are you going to log off of here tonight and get started on Research Edge, right? Lots of stuff. lots of stuff. Do we have anybody here that wants to talk about what they thought, if they've completed it? Anybody? No? Regional officers? Anybody? No? Everybody's quiet? You just want me to do all the talking tonight? PG,
I
you
think it was
did it.
amazing. I finished mine today. I finished Research
Me
Edge
too.
today.
I finished everything today as well.
I think it was awesome. And I got to tell you, as somebody who has advised students through several honors and action projects, what a difference. I wish I would have had that last year, the year before, and so on. So I think it really makes a difference.
It does make a difference because you can always go back to it, right?
Yep.
And it's interactive, and you can keep doing it over and over and over again. It's more than just the badges. It's getting a better understanding of putting all the pieces together. So that's why I think it's really a really cool thing to do. We talked about, and we're going to talk that in a little bit. So it is, so we are at 7:35, and I am thinking, since we got through all of that, I think now is a good time to just open it up for some questions about anything that we talked about just now before we go into a breakout session. If you have any questions about the guide itself, if you started working on it, or you're just a little confused, or you want some more clarity, or Research Edge, or any of that. Okay. One of the things, I made lots of notes from Research Edge. It has been extremely helpful when helping and guiding new members. Absolutely. One of the things that we're going to talk about, I think, a little bit later on is, it does, very good, Ryan. One of the things I think we need to talk about too is the mechanics of trying to do an honors and action in the virtual, right? Because more than likely the majority of us will be doing virtual classes, so we'll probably be doing virtual honors and action projects. So how are we going to do that, right? Is it really going to be that difficult? And I say no. I don't think it will be that difficult. I think no matter what you choose to do, you know, just like the college project, you definitely have to continue meeting, whether it's on Zoom or GoToMeeting or GoMeeting or any of that. And you can have structured meetings where you can start this whole process. You can also create things like Google Drive or Microsoft Teams or Dropbox, and also the classroom, right? You'll be able to access all the materials there. And still be able to have those meetings and try and figure out the next steps. Research is really good to do online, except with the, I mean, you know, you don't want to do everything on the internet, but I mean, you could, if your school offers the EBSCOhost or those sorts of academic resources that you can tap into to get into your research there. Has any chapter started on their honors in action that would like to talk about their beginning stages?
We are like thinking we're just having weekly meetings discussing the about legacy, like because we're leaning towards more theme 1.
What got, Sarah, would you mind sharing how you got to, you're leaning more towards theme 1? How did you get there?
Because we were having discussions, we were going through all the themes, and like we had to come up with questions, and I guess we just thought maybe this is what we would like to do, and like, and maybe it'll be easy for all of us to know, like, because I just had a uncle who just passed away, and how he probably touched so many lives and with his kindness and goodness, and maybe this will be something that people can learn from.
Yeah, just to add to that, I'm in Sarah's chapter, and one of the things we did as, you know, as a group is that we looked at the questions and sort of narrowed them down to what is too broad for us to work on too, what needs to be refined, and what themes were we coming up with the most questions for.
Nice, I like that.
Thank
I
you.
like that.
Thank you so much.
I like that. There's 2 ways, and we're going to talk about it when we come back from break, how to approach selecting which way you're going to go, divergent and convergent. There's two ways that a chapter can choose it, and I don't want to take all of the thunder away from our person that's going to present that, but there are only two ways to figure it out, and we'll talk about that later. And yeah, it's a good way of doing it. Some folks, I know that some folks, like, they'll have their first meeting, right? And it's their first Honors in Action meeting, and they haven't even read the guide. They only know the title. And they just have these brainstorming sessions where they throw out different words or different phrases or different everything, right? And try and come up with tying those words or those, whatever those things are, those themes or those quotes or whatever, they're brainstorming to something that's going on in their world, right? Okay. There's a lot going on in the world right now. So I think right now, everything, the things that are most on everybody's mind, COVID, are racial tensions in the country, political, right? All of those things. So there's plenty of things to look at, but some chapters might say, you know what, we don't want to touch any of them. We want to go somewhere else. There's no right or wrong in the way that you choose it. There is no right or wrong the way you interpret or how your chapter interprets a theme or the guide, the topic, I should say, right? We have to be open-minded when we go in these meetings, and that's what's crazy, right? You have these think tank meetings or these brainstorming meetings, and everyone has to go in with a clear mind and be open-minded, right? Be ready to discuss anything and everything, right? To get to a point that you're passionate about. Some folks are really passionate about certain topics more so than others, but you know, what's the chapter's interest? What's your passion? Dare I say, what makes you mad? You know, what's going on in your community that you really want to address, that you want to learn more about, that you heard in the news, you know, that's been an ongoing issue. If it's not your immediate community, your college, or, you know, it could be globally, anything like that. So, okay, anybody else? Has anybody else, any other chapter met that have started?
We've been meeting since the end of May, and we've been doing research.
Nice.
We were kind of torn between two different themes, and we chose perceptions of progress because we were questioning if we were going to meet in the fall in person, actually. So we chose one that would be more suitable, one that we could do virtually versus something that we'd probably want to do in person. And we're keeping that idea, the other idea we had on the back burner for maybe next year, because these themes do go for 2 years.
Yes, this team will be here with us this year or next year. Yes, very good point, Nicole.
So we've also had 2 meetings with one of the librarians who was also one of our advisors a couple of years back. So not only does he know Honors in Action, so he's also helped guide us, like if we ran into problems looking up research.
Right.
So we have a great group. I'm really happy this year. And we all have like a different topic that we're each researching within our theme. So that's been really good this year for us over the summer.
One of the other things too that I never thought about as an advisor, and it just dawned on me through something that I attended and listened to, you know, Honors in Action and when you say the word research, people are running. They're like, what? Like, I got enough research to do in my classes. I got enough reading to do. I can't. And so maybe there are members of your chapter that just don't want to do more of that research, and they just want to stay on the college project side or help with other things that aren't related. It's not a bad thing if you only have a small group of folks at your chapter that really want to involve themselves in the Honors in Action process. And yeah, there's no, like I said, there's no right way or wrong way. And sometimes it's just, you have 6 officers and that means you have 6 active members. And that was my story last year at my chapter. It's 6 or 7 officers, and they were our most active, and they wanted to be a 5-star chapter. So they put their heart and soul into it, and they found something that they were passionate about. And they modified what they were doing because they knew it was just the 6 of them. And so it was, you know, they went the route of advocacy as opposed to doing an actual service, boots on the ground project. So for them, you know, they love to do the research, they love putting it all together, and they really love creating PowerPoints, which is why they did an advocacy piece. So, anyone else want to share?
Yeah, we'd love to for our IOTA today. We've actually accumulated a lot of our research already. We decided to leverage the environment that we're in right now to come up with a topic that really speaks to a global issue, as well as something within our community as well. We're looking at the capability of COVID to really leverage online technologies to better benefit non-traditional students moving forward, knowing that online is a platform that non-traditional students very often seek to pursue for several different reasons. We think that this is an opportunity to kind of destigmatize the environment and give our chapter a chance to work through a service project that not only benefits our traditional student population in the remote and online learning environments, but also makes better retention outcomes for our non-traditional student populations as well going forward.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Very good. One of the things that, and I'm not saying that you did it, I just want everybody to make sure, I probably say this 1,000 times when we start talking about Honors Institute. If we were at the four-year university having Honors Institute, I would be saying it 1,000 times. Don't ever put the cart before the horse. Be careful. Be careful. Don't look at something that you want to fix and then go do the research. You have to let it's very key that you're showing that the research is leading you to fixing this issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be careful.
Mm-hmm. A big part of how chapters sort of get, kind of twisted especially when they go to write up, is that they've done that. They think about an action and an advocacy, and they haven't really, they back into the research. And you'll see, and those of you who have done honors and action projects before, that it really makes it very difficult to write out than to demonstrate what you've done, because it becomes very, very evident that what you did was an service project that you threw some research on. So you don't want to do that.
I don't know, Tristy, if you can see, you got a really nice comment. Have you ever considered a career in student affairs and higher education? That was very well articulated, and I agree. Very good.
Thank you. I work in higher ed, so.
Oh, nice. Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
And that's right, Benjamin. Listen to me, Van Awesome. They will be able to tell if you're backing up your research to make it fit. You can't work backwards. It's just, you have to let the research point you. Your research, your analysis have to match what you're going into. You have to show that connection between them all. Awesome. Anyone else want to share before we go off to breakout?
I just kind of want to piggyback on what Patty and PG have been saying. I know for our chapter last year, so for those of you guys who don't know me, I'm from Anne Arundel Community College. So last year for us, we did exactly that. We put the cart before the horse, and we found that when we finished the project, it was a lot harder to go through the project that way than having the topics and the themes you kind of want to have what you have an understanding of about the guide where you want to go. It's so easy to say, well, we're passionate about this, 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 and this, and that's great, but you have to make sure that as a chapter and as a member, I can't emphasize this enough because it's been so beneficial to me as a regional officer. That guide, whether it's in your hands from your advisor or whether you pull it up on Google Chrome, read it cover to cover and make sure you fully understand what's in it, so that way you can have this sort of foundational frame for a really awesome project.
And one of the other things, and thank you for saying that, Bri, I appreciate it. One of the other things I wanted to add in all of this, your advisor is your advisor and your coach in this process. It's not your advisor's role to figure out your research question, figure out the plan, figure out any of that. They are there to coach you through it and also be that liaison. So say you want to speak to the librarian, or you want the librarian to come to a meeting, or you want to go, well, I don't know if we go, you want to have a meeting with the librarian to learn more about academic resources. Maybe he or she is the person that sets up that meeting, or getting the approvals for an advocacy thing that you're doing, or maybe whatever it is. But your advisor is not there to do the research. Your advisor is not there to pull it all together. They're there as a coach. That's it. And in the end, they're not there to write the homework. So That's the other
No.
thing I will say all the time. Your advisor is there to coach you. They are the, we can't do the work. We'll help you understand all the parts, that's for sure. Maybe give you some pointers, maybe point you in a direction, but we can't, yeah.
Right. Robin Musselman, did you have I see you have your hand up. Did you have a question or a comment?
No, I'm sorry. I should take it down.
That's
raised
okay,
my
I'll take
hand
it
when you were
down.
asking people to talk about Research Edge.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, sorry.
That's
No, not
okay.
a problem.
You're good. You're good. You're good. All right. So I think we're going to take a break and go into the breakout sessions, and the alumni and the regional officers have some, an activity that they want to do with all of you. And then we're going to come back and talk. And then we're going to talk more about the connection that the regional officers made to the honor study topic this year. All right, PJ.
Okay, give me 1 second.
And we're putting the advisors into the breakout rooms as well, not just this.
Yes.
Okay.
Advisors, you are mixed in. Okay, group leaders, if for some reason you're not a co-host when you get in, just message me and I will make you a co-host, but I think I got everybody. And we got 30 minutes on the clock. So just a couple of housekeeping. If for some reason you get kicked out of the room, just exit the meeting completely and then come back in. You'll come back into the main room. Make sure, group leaders, make sure that the group knows who their room is in. The rooms are named after the regional officers. So you can say, I was in Bree's room, or I was in Rachel's room, or I was in Evan's room, or Bella's room, or Candace's room. And so then I can put you back in, okay? All right, here we go.
That's great, Alyssa. I'm replying to Alyssa. That's really great, Alyssa. That sounds awesome.
See you on the other side.
See you on the other side. I see the records.
Jennifer,
Yes.
do you have an advisors group again?
No.
Or are we just mixed in?
You're
Okay, then I'll
mixed
go
in.
back where I came from.
Yeah, we're gonna have an advisor
I'm
meeting
in the
next week.
blue group.
Okay.
Sorry.
If you went into a group
Yeah.
and you.
Oh, I could just join them again. I see it.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's
That's
okay.
okay. Thanks, Robin.
Rebecca, Hadil, Salisha, Nadal, do you need help?
Nidil said she'll see me next week. All right. Thanks, Nidil. Hope you're okay. You're welcome. Thank you. Rebecca or Hadil?
You're doing a Padlet activity?
Supposed to be.
Okay. It's in the Padlet.
Who's asking?
Evan.
Evan.
Yeah,
Nicole was supposed to create a Padlet.
she did. I got the notifications that she created that.
Are they not using it in the breakout room?
No, they are. He's asking me, where do I find it?
Can we stop recording?
Yes. There we go. It's back recording.
Yay! Everybody's back. Glad you're back.
Yay.
Yay! Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're gonna give everybody a minute. We're at 8:22. We're doing really well on time. Goodness. When my screen stops flickering.
And we are back.
Yay.
Hi,
I say, hey, George.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I like your glasses. They match your blouse.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. They're brand new. We were just talking about my glasses.
Oh, very
Yeah.
nice. I
Thank
need
you.
new glasses. Where did you get your glasses?
I see someone in Hamilton, New Jersey. So
Okay.
his office, yeah.
I'm not too far from there.
Yeah, Ocean County. Nice.
Wait, we're at in Hamilton.
Right on Dr. D. Mosquito on Route 30. Yeah. All right. So we're all back. Awesome. PG, want to lead us in a debrief? Real
Sure.
quick. All right.
All right. So everybody was in a room and you talk and think about what you learned before you went in your room, right? And let's start with one thing that you learned that you were able to talk about that you didn't know about HIA. Just unmute yourself and talk. Nobody learned anything?
It's Robin Musselman. I'd just like to say that one thing that I learned that I didn't know before was the availability of the workbook. That's fantastic. So that was something that I learned.
Yeah, those are new resources this year and lots of really cool new resources.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to make a difference for a lot of chapters. And those of you who've done HIA before, you're going to know, you look at the workbooks and you look at the different tools that they have now put on the website, it's going to make a big difference. So what else? What else did everybody learn?
I think that a lot of what we learned was actually expoundment on issues about which we had been hearing for weeks and months now. We've been hearing about, because we were talking about different potential for topics for the Honors in Action project. Some people would mention Black Lives Matter, other people would mention, not mention, that's not a word.
It's okay, George.
Thank you. So other people would mention levels of incarceration in this country, in jails and prisons. There's a potential for changes in education policy, not just for colleges, but especially for K-12, because frankly, if you don't change K-12, you can't change the colleges. You have that, you had the role that the government could play or should play that to varying degrees, depending on how one would view it. In business and in labor practices, talking about statues and what certain statues represent of certain historical figures, and anything positive and negative relating to the individuals represented by the statues, and things of that nature. So yes.
Right, good. So you're learning about different things that you could look into to start the research process.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
What did we learn?
So I learned a couple more ways to see, seeing how other chapters and their projects. I know, for example, someone emphasized making sure we use all of the resources available to us. You know, today, many of us are just so used to being on our computers that everything is just kind of a search online or whatnot. But, you know, there's still we still have the, you know, access to, well, today it's a little different because we're all virtual. But, you know, we're still in network with our schools. There are perhaps still librarians that we can talk to, other faculty members even that are knowledgeable in the areas that we might want to be exploring. Because little guidance as well, so we can look there too. And then I also learned about how to kind of keep a balance and to sort of keep an eye on the balance of of work being done even within the chapter, so that we're not ending up with one or two people, getting burnt out and doing all the work. So something to keep for me to keep an eye out as my chapter goes on to do our work.
That's right. Awesome. Fantastic. What else? Come on, guys.
Hi, we on my team, hi, it's Darcy here.
Hi, Darcy.
We learn why the honors and action is important, and it's really impactful for our lives, and not just for our life. It's a way for us to make the difference in our community, and also we will develop a network. We will be able to develop a bond with our team members. You are going to also work on teamwork. That will be very important, and that's a skill that we all need for our professional work, and of course critical thinking.
Right. And Darcy Ann, you make a really good point, and that's this week's unit, right? It's about building a team and teamwork, right? And so when you guys, if you haven't already delved into Unit 5, and we're going to talk a little bit about it later, we're going to talk about this notion of building a team and the importance of teamwork. Fantastic. What else?
One more. What else?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Hadil, go ahead.
How are you? Okay, so basically I'm in the same group as Darcy, and we did discuss about building relationships with the team in your chapter, and not only with the chapter, but also with each other's advisors. The honored action allows us to receive ideas from one another and assign everybody can kind of have a task of their own, which can allow the team to work more efficiently, and creating an agenda and kind of setting up like a time schedule, like, okay, like on this day we could start like this, and then the next day we could do this. So kind of like making a checklist, and working with each other allows us to create relationships and gain knowledge from each other, and kind of have an open mind rather than just sticking to kind of like one idea, because the more ideas you have, the more great the honored action project can hopefully become.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Fantastic. Give yourselves a big round of applause, right? Congratulations. Nice job. Good work, right? And for those of you who are brand new to HIA, this is going to be a really exciting year. Patty?
Yep, hold on. Okay, I just got a message. I'll answer it in a minute. It is going to be a very exciting year, and I'm so excited that you are a part of tonight's the first step. You probably have already maybe started working with your chapter, and just want to check into this to see some of all of the different pieces that are involved in it and try and get support. One thing that I would definitely want to say, one of the things that kind of happens is with honors in action. I know when it first started, everybody was always top secret about what their honors in action was, right? It's top secret where you can't share, we can want to share our ideas. But I find that especially in this different landscape that we're working on, the more that we share, the more it helps each other, right? So we're going to meet more frequently in the summer and have opportunities for you to drop in and say, you know what, we're working on this and we're stuck, can you help? Or we could, maybe there's another resources that another chapter may have that your chapter does not, and sharing those resources. And so we want you to be successful in this, and we're going to be with you every step of the way with our programming and how we're going to make ourselves available to you. One of the things I'm really excited about, Rachel and Bree, are you ready?
We are.
I'm going to turn it over to them. Do you want me to start the PowerPoint, or you want to start it from your end?
If you want to, that would be great.
Okay.
We can, if you want, I'll just say like next slide. Rachel and I can just say next slide.
Sure, not a problem.
Good old fashioned.
Okay, up. Of course, if I did it the right way. Hold on. Okay, so it's my honor to present to you two of our regional officers who are each week you're going to hear reflections from the regional officers as they reflect upon the honor study topic specifically and their experience with it so far. Come on, you can do this. Hold on a second. There we go. So it's my honor to turn it over to your regional president, Bree Brown, and your Maryland DC president, Rachel Mickle.
Thank you, Patty. Next slide, please. So all of us as regional officers and the candidates who are running for regional office, we were all tasked with writing an honors and action speech based on the honor study topic to the 7th generation inheritance and legacy. This was the first exposure that myself and my regional officers and our fellow candidates had to the honor study topic. And it was really wonderful because each of us through our speeches talked about things that we were personally passionate about, things that we personally felt connected to through the honor study topic. And although each of our interests and themes were different in perspective, we found that each of our speeches were connected by this common theme. And this is a theme that we're going to be echoing throughout all of Honors Institute, and that being, we are leaving it better than we found it. Without further ado, I'd like to pass it on over to Rachel and have her share some reflections on how she felt her speech connected to her themes and the idea of leaving it better than we found it. Rachel?
Thanks, Bree. Patty, we can go to the next slide, please, if you would. All right. So when we first talking about our reflections and kind of giving our ideas, you know, I thought I was ready, and I sat down and I was like, all right, I'm going to type all this out. I know where my mind is. And I started, and my brain was this way and that way, and I had to kind of rein it in. It took me a while, and this is what HIA does. You know, you might know where you're going, but like we've been saying, you have to be flexible. So it took me a while, but we're here. And, you know, like Bree said, when we were campaigning in February and March, which to be honest seems like years ago now, my speech was based on theme 1. And it caught my attention firstly because of the play on words in the title. It's called The Errors of Our Ways. And those 5 words alone just spoke to me. It's not errors as in ERROR, like a mistake or a wrongdoing, but error as in HEIR, like a person who will take ownership of something when we're gone. You know, that can be our children, our classmates, friends, coworkers, whoever. You know, when you think about it though, they will kind of inherit our errors as mistake errors, because those wrongdoings are part of our ways. They're part of who we are, whether we like it or not. So no one is perfect. Obviously, we all mess up, we all fail, but I'd argue that that is not the most important thing. I think what's most important is what we're going to do about it. So something doesn't go as planned, okay? Something goes wrong. What can we do? And I like to use this line, we've said it already, from Sunday Best, leave it better than you found it. And I remember learning this way early on in my childhood. I was a Girl Scout. I mean, mainly because of the cookies, but you know, I look back and I think of all the things we're learning in PTK and our hallmarks, and I was learning those things in Girl Scouts. And one afternoon, I remember we were learning how to cook something. I think it was eggs for breakfast or something like that. We were, there were about 10 or 12 of us young girls in a small church kitchen. So you can imagine the mess we were going to make. Our instructors kept reminding us that we needed to be respectful and keep in mind that the church was gracious enough to let us use the space for our little lesson that day. We were to clean up, put everything back in its place, and have it look nicer than when we got there. So essentially as if we were never there in the first place. Again, leaving it better than you found it. And this even ties into the overall topic of the Honors and Action Guide to the 7th generation inheritance and legacy. And the idea of the 7th generation is founded on the Constitution of the Iroquois Nation. One of the lines in there reads, your heart shall be filled with peace and goodwill, and your mind be filled with yearning for the welfare of the people of the Confederacy. Look and listen for the welfare of the whole people, and have always in view not only the present, but also the coming generations. So the whole idea of this topic is realizing what we do impacts others now, and in the future. And, you know, whether you know it or not, you influence people, you are influencing someone. I mean, maybe you don't believe you have the power to do that, but, you know, we all live in the real world. We all talk to people. If you talk to someone, you have the power to influence them, whether you know it or not. And, you know, if you don't believe you have the power to influence someone, or you don't think you're ready to be an influence on someone, trust me, I understand how that feels. Growing up my entire life, I basically just wanted to be in the background. I never wanted to be in the spotlight. I'd let other people take the spotlight. You know, I could just watch, let them influence me. I didn't want to step on any toes or anything. I would observe and just take everything in, but that's where it stayed. It stayed with me, and I didn't put anything else out, which is not very good. And that is one of my shortcomings, and I'll admit it, is not knowing exactly how to communicate my feelings properly in some instances. And I feel as though there's so much in here and in here, but I can't always communicate it this way, which is a bit frustrating, but it's something I'm working on. And college and PTK have been teaching me that I need to step out of this bubble. And you can't lead a meaningful life if all you do is hide from it. So I'm working on it and trying to grow through it. And that is kind of one of the things with influencing people that it's kind of been opening my eyes to that. And what I'm realizing is that this isn't what I want for my kids, for my grandkids, my great grandkids, and, you know, so on for 7 generations. Those people are the most impressionable as kids. So, you know, I'd argue that you could lump us college kids in with most impressionable because we're in a new place, we're meeting new people, learning new things. So we're vulnerable in being influenced. So for me, the question is, how do we do it right? How do we, as students, friends, coworkers, how do we lead that kind of life? And is there a right way to do that? And when I was reading through theme 1, I just took a highlighter and I highlighted multiple points. One of them is a quote from the United Nations Educational, Science, and Culture Organization that emphasizes how kids should be brought up, and this is a quote, brought up in the spirit of peace, dignity, tolerance, freedom, equality, and solidarity. And again, I'll bring up the thought of, you know, I think most environments should be this way, but that sounds a bit of like a utopia or something that could never be accomplished. But the whole idea is that we try and we work towards that in hopes of our children living more peacefully and more joyfully. We may never see it, but we are working towards it, and that's what gives life its meaning. There's a question at the beginning of theme 1's reading, and it asks, how do we acknowledge our inheritance and support children in ways that promote humanity's greatest potential, which they are, and we are. So first, kind of breaking that question down, how do we acknowledge our inheritance? And something we inherit doesn't automatically have to be a physical thing like a house or money or anything. You know, we grew up in the real world, again, like I said, so we were constantly around people. You're constantly observing people and soaking in the world around us like sponges, and especially in these days of the internet. But, you know, thinking about what attitudes, perspectives, habits, which of those, or what of those have you inherited from other people, and how have the people around you influenced you in that way? And I know Bree is going to talk about some of her biggest influences, and I really think that acknowledgement is imperative. Observe as much as you can, because that outward observation eventually leads to an inward observation that is very, very, very important. And those qualities of those people that you admire, you have to ask yourself, do you see that in yourself? And therefore it will continue to your kids, your grandkids, and so forth. So as you can see, these topics are deep and can take you so many places. And these are just my thoughts. When you get a whole team together, you know, ideas are flying every which way, here, there, everywhere. So yes, I encourage you to observe. be an active listener, respect your teammates' ideas, but don't be afraid to put your point of view and ideas out there too. And at this point, I will turn it over to Bree.
Thank you, Rachel, for such an amazing analysis of your speech. I always love hearing you speak, and I think that you really drive home a point that a lot of us, are thinking about, is that, how can we make this better for ourselves and our future generations, and what have we gotten from the generations that come prior? Patty, next slide, please. So for my honors and action speech for my campaign, I chose theme 5. And theme 5 immediately was one that stuck out to me. As an educator, I love the importance of teaching history to my students, particularly as an English teacher. Something that I love is bringing history into the books that I teach my kids. So the thoughts and the perspectives of individuals long ago and how that influenced literature and the way that we view literature now. And there's a question in theme 5, and that is, what have we learned from the inherited effects of resistance, and what legacies can we envision? The whole concept of an American society was one that was built on rebellions, reforms, and revolutions alike. I'm sure many of you at home are probably thinking of countless revolutions and resistances that have taken place in our nation as well as around the globe. And for me, when it was faced with thinking about rebellion, reform, and revolution, I'm a very global thinker. I like to believe in things like the raindrop effect, is that if something can be impactful in one nation, it can be impactful in other nations, and that can make a movement that could start an ocean of change. And some things that inspire me were education, obviously, and most importantly, I, like our previous international officer, Jenna Santa Croce, I love the environment. I love the climate that we've been in. And when you hear Bella speak later in the coming weeks, Bella is going to hit on some of these points as well. But some of my biggest inspirations as an educator are Malala Yousafzai and her advocacy for education for girls in Pakistan, Greta Thunberg and her school strike for climate. Basically, that means school strike for climate. At the age of 11, keep that in mind, that change can come at any age. You don't have to be some old, wise, Yoda-like Zen master to have this wonderful wave of change based on resistance and revolution. If you feel strongly about something, you have the power to speak out about it. There was a study conducted by Harvard in 2014 that looked at a lot of resistance campaigns, both here in the United States and around the globe. And through that long-standing study, they interviewed many groups who were speaking out against injustice. And they found that of those resistance campaigns, the ones that were nonviolent, the ones that sat down and spoke their piece and worked to create action, were the ones that were nearly twice as likely to achieve success versus violent counterparts. And I just want to drive that point home, is that it's so easy to let our emotions and our tempers guide us, but how is that going to impact the generations to come if the first influence that those who came before us, those we have now, and those in the future, how is that going to impact that if we choose to answer our emotions and our passions with violence? Revolutions thrive and succeed through peaceful action and an understanding of differing beliefs. And driving that back home to the Honors and Action Project, you really have to be able to look at things both sides. You have to be able to understand the differing perspectives that lead to your themes, that lead to your topics of passion. And you have to be able to sit down as an individual, put your own bias aside, and understand how you got to where you are and how you'll get to where you want to be. Next slide, please, Patty. One of the biggest influences in my life is Malala Yousafzai, and I want to talk about a little bit of Malala's history because I feel if you're my age, Malala was something you kind of just heard about. You didn't really understand. Her history wasn't very much talked about. If you were somewhat of the older, wiser generation, you may have heard the whole story. So if you will, I would like to indulge my history teacher-esque vibes and kind of give you a little history about Malala. Her father was a teacher at a girls' school in Swat Valley, which is the village in which Malala was born. And in 2008, Malala's village was taken over by extremists. And those extremists in Pakistan brought forth many demands, among them being the refusal for girls to be educated within the nation of Pakistan. And something I want to drive home is that those who were seen to defy these orders, these demands, were faced with extreme and even deathly punishment. In 2012, Malala began speaking out against the injustices brought forth onto herself, her peers, her community, and her nation as a whole. Again, driving home this point that Ryan, our amazing alumni president, likes to bring up often. Think globally, act locally. Malala spoke out at various conventions, resisting the ways of the the extremist regime. Sorry, it's a mouthful. Unfortunately, this meant some very stark consequences that came her way. A masked gunman entered Malala's school bus and asked who Malala was after hearing about her advocacy for the rights of education for young girls. And unfortunately, when Malala was revealed by her peers, the gunman opened fire and shot her in the head. Despite her circumstances, Malala sought to make the best out of her situation and paved a legacy for Pakistani women in that they have the right to get a quality education. A quote that really stands out to me is a quote by Malala, and it says, "It was then I knew I had a choice. I could live a quiet life, or I could make the most of this new life that I had been given. I had determined to continue my fight until every girl could go to school." So there again, Malala's taking this situation, albeit incredibly unfortunate that she has inherited from such acts of violence, to bring such peaceful and restorative acts to her community moving forward. She says she tells her story not because it's unique, because it's the story of many girls. And I think with the Honors in Action Project, you have to think beyond yourselves. You have to think beyond your community. Again, driving home that point of thinking globally, act locally. Malala says that you must not wait for someone to come and speak for you, because it is you who can change the world. And we see this every day, and we have seen this throughout history leading up to this point. We as a society have come a long way, but I am certain with the bright minds we have in this region and the bright minds that we have around the globe, like Malala and like Greta Thunberg, who I'm going to talk about in a second, we can change the world. We can make this a better thing, but we have to be able to stand in the faces of rebellion and resistance with a stern face and a brave optimism that we can make it better. Next slide, please, Patty. My next example is Greta Thunberg, and I'm going to leave a lot of this for Bella. Bella is going to hit hard on environmental activism in her speech in the coming weeks, but just a little history on Greta. I know I'm probably boring you guys with a history lesson, but Greta Thunberg, she's pictured above holding that school strike for climate sign, and she was tired of the long-standing legacy and environmental neglect that her generation had inherited from generations prior. Thunberg felt that previous generations did not have the right to ruin her future or the futures of others forced to live in this inherited, environmentally neglected world. She began her strike initially on Fridays, where she would skip school and sit outside of Swedish Parliament in hopes of bringing legislative change, in hopes of preserving the environment and reversing the damages that have been done thus far to build a better future for generations to come. Just a current update, the strike is currently on its 99th week, and as of this Friday, this upcoming Friday, which I believe is the 17th, the strike will be on its 100th week. As you can see, this has been a long-standing fight, and she's built this platform of resistance to speak out for a better future and build a better environmental legacy for generations to come. This is really where I felt emotional, because she took something that she was inherited and something that we all have inherited. We are in a place right now with global climate change that it's mostly reversible, but a lot of damage has been done. And it's been done through many things like industrialization and deforestation, but we have the power to make that into something better for years to come. And I think of my students. I think as anybody in the chat or anybody on the Zoom call who is an educator, any of our advisors who are educators, it's something about when you teach students for the first time, you know that you want to make the world better for them. You know that you want to make the experiences that they experience safer and better for them. As parents, I know a lot of parents in the chat want to see a better world for their kids. I want to see a better world for my future children and my grandchildren. And that starts right now. What we have right now is we've been given this beautiful life and this beautiful opportunity to make the most out of every day that we have to make a better tomorrow for those who come along after us. And I think that, you know, bringing it back home to PTK, I talked about this with the regional officers and with Patty, is that thinking about it from a chapter or a regional office perspective, we were inherited our chapters. If you're a chapter officership team, or even if you're chapter members, even us as regional officers, let me use us as an example. We inherited this region from Team 19, Team 18, Team 17, so on and so forth, who have continued to build this legacy of excellence for the Middle States region. And it is our job as the regional officer team of 2020 to really continue that legacy for years to come. And this year has been filled with unprecedented challenges that have made our time of existing quite different than what we're used to. And we're trailblazing this new future for chapters to come where we may be faced with this for the future. We don't know what the future holds with COVID. But what we do now can make it easier for next year's team, should we hopefully not be faced with an issue like virtual Zoom conferences. I want nothing more than to be with you all right now, but this is what's best for us. And we are leading the way in innovation, not only in our region, but in Phi Theta Kappa. And you all have the power to do that at your chapter levels as well. What you do with your Honors in Action project can really make a difference for your next chapter to come. I really want to drive home the point that everything in this world starts with a drop, whether that's you, whether that's your chapter, whether that's your Girl Scout troop, your family, your friends, your regional family, whatever it may be, however big that drop is, that drop can start something that continues on for so long. Whether going back 7 generations or forward generations, you have this roundward, outward approach on how the actions you have come from the actions that were having before you and the actions that can continue after you. And with that, that is our reflections on our Honors in Action speech. I can't wait to hear what the regional officers after Rachel and I have to say next week. It's been a truly wonderful ride, and I still can't believe we were only a few months into the job. It feels like we've been it for a year. So thank you guys. And if you have any questions about the themes and about the topics, like I said, the team and I have had exposure to the guide. We had to read it cover to cover, not only for our speeches, but in presenting Honors Institute to you. So just want to emphasize, leverage your resources. We are here for you, so are your advisors and the entire regional team and alumni association.
Yay! I'm proud of you guys. So awesome.
Great job, Bree and Rachel. Awesome.
Really great job. Awesome. So thank you. So in case you were wondering, we are going to run over just a little bit tonight, so hang with us. We just have a few more things to go through. And we look forward to hearing from the other regional officers moving forward. So thank you, thank you, thank you. One of the pieces that two more things we want to talk about: convergent and divergent thinking, and also journaling. And also a surprise, something that the middle states, shh, don't tell anybody. We have a tool that no other region's going to have. So, and I'm really excited for our next presenters to share that with you. So Nikki Malone, former international officer, also a former regional officer, our Google Classroom guru, and helps us keep that all straight, is going to talk to us about convergent and divergent thinking. You ready, Nikki?
All righty. 1 second, I'll just pull it up. And sorry if I have a baby in the background, I do apologize. You have to bear with me here. Okay. And we're going to look at convergent and divergent thinking. So I'm an educator and I work in middle school teaching English and theater, but I'm also in graduate school studying teacher leadership and creativity and gifted and talented education. And one of the big things that we're constantly discussing is how to teach thinking. So today we're going to talk about divergent and convergent thinking. And these are important not only for you to be able to master and use in your own abilities, but also in developing your Honors in Action project. And believe it or not, it's actually in the guide. So we're going to take a look. So first I want to show you kind of the definition between the two. So convergent thinking occurs when the solution to a problem can be deduced by applying established rules and logical reasoning. So it's when you're taking all of these facts, all of these components, and you're bringing them and you're converging it into one. Whereas on the opposite, divergent thinking is a thought process or method used by exploring many possibilities. So you start at one point and you branch out to many. So they're kind of the inverse here. So how does that apply to Phi Theta Kappa and Honors in Action? So you have to excuse my crude diagram I made, but when you're looking at developing your project, you need to decide as a team whether you are using divergent or convergent thinking to establish your selection of your topic and your theme. So one avenue you can use is convergent thinking. It's that idea of many becoming one to converge together. You can think of it like converging lines meet at a point, they intersect. different directions come together eventually. And it's the same here. You're using your ideas, your passions, your interests from multiple people in the chapter, talking about them, exploring them, and bringing them together, converging them into the selection of one theme. That's one way you can go about it. The other is divergent thinking. So divergent, you could think of the movie where it's, or you could think about separating, going into different directions, deviating from a set course. Here, you're already selecting your theme. And once you start your theme, you're then starting at that one location as a group, and then you're exploring that in many directions. You're diverging. You're going off into many different directions. So as a team, you're going to decide whether you're going to look at divergent or convergent thinking to develop your topic. Then while you're developing your topic, you want to look at making sure that you're developing the effective scope of your topic. So as you're continuing to explore these ideas, the eventual idea you come up with, is it clear? Is it focused? Is it written in a concise way that is not too broad or too narrow that everyone on the project is able to understand it, your audience is able to understand it? Is it complex that develops enough research, enough need, enough to look at? Is it timely? And is it something that you can look at globally? So how it affects a larger population, and then how can you manifest that on a more local level? So how could you bring that down to a targeted community or your college or your area to look at in a smaller bite-sized piece? So I love that I had this little image here, but same idea is developing your honors and action research question. And that's kind of what the whole point of analyzing or picking your topic is, to continue going down to your research question. So you want to choose one that's an interesting general topic. So that is the process. Step one is where you're looking at both divergent, convergent thinking, one or the other. And then you'll do preliminary research on your topic. So once you kind of decide as your team, these are our interests, convergent, these are our interests. Because of our interests, we're going to look at theme 4. Now let's do research on that theme to get a better idea of what scholars and others are already saying about this topic. Or maybe you're divergent. Maybe, hey, we're looking at theme 4, but now what about theme 4? Let's go into different avenues of theme 4. We're diverging as a team to explore different options in our preliminary research to decide what interests us, what's already being done, how can we enter as a chapter our voice into this conversation that's already existing. Next, you want to consider your audience, your skills, and your interests. So again, looking at those ideas that affect the divergent and convergent thinking. What are your skills as a chapter? What are your interests as a chapter? What is the audience of Phi Theta Kappa that you'd like to speak to? You start asking your questions, you evaluate your questions, and then you prepare to do your research. So it's kind of a step-by-step guideline, but it all starts with selecting your topic and looking at this overarching idea metacognitively. Why are we choosing to do what we're doing? And that's something that you want to be thinking about and cognizant about as you're working through your project, is why are we making the decisions we're making? That's the leadership, that's the reflection piece, not just putting the, be wary of putting the cart before the horse of, well, this is what we're doing, we're already ready to go. I don't know about you, but I tend to be guilty of that. I'm just so excited and I just want to, steamroll and move ahead. But you can't always start with the action. You have to take a step back. So that's even further than you may have thought about, well, why are we making the decisions we're making as a chapter? And infusing that idea throughout your entire honors and action project. So the other component I want to talk to you about was journaling with honors and action. And before we get into journaling real quick, just with divergent and convergent thinking, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that the alumni will be able to share a little bit more about using divergent and convergent thinking throughout the honors and action experience. But if you have questions about that, if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out and we can help put you in the direction of resources and further explanations with that thought process and using the creative problem solving process in your own life. So the second topic that I'm blessed to talk to you about is journaling. And I've been in with Phi Theta Kappa for over a decade now. And I will tell you, when I started off, I was terrible at journaling. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd be like an afterthought. And then even as an alum, you would sit there and we were supposed to be journaling as well and keeping track. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone to writing Hallmark workshops And we're like, oh yeah, we did that, but I don't remember how many numbers, and we need to go back and pull papers, and we're calling people, and we're trying to figure it out, because as we're doing these amazing activities, amazing projects, these amazing events, we're not keeping track of our data. We're not having a centralized location. We're not being organized. And because of that, it becomes so much more stressful later on. And it takes away that metacognitive component that headquarters is looking for. Even right now with COVID, especially right now with COVID, you might not be face-to-face with everyone else in your chapter. So journaling can even become a more imperative component, because we all know sometimes if there's a million text messages or GroupMe or Microsoft Teams or Zoom that you're using, there's so many more pieces of technology, files, things that you'd have to go back and look at later. So having a centralized location is important. So, importance of journaling, check. Now what? I understand Nikki saying I've got a journal, but how do I start? Is it writing Dear Diary? Not quite. Headquarters has an entire guide with questions set up for you to journal with. So you can open that up. You can decide, you know, if you want to handwrite in like a little notebook that you carry around, you can kind of keep track of that. You can also add in additional things that, you know, numbers, statistics, meeting minutes, things that you want to include. What I love is right now is using everything digital. It helps me as a mom, like, keep track of everything that's going on. I know it's in my drive. I know where to find it. The best part is if you're using Google Docs or something like that, you can hyperlink things in. So you can hyperlink in videos or images or other files right into one centralized location. So what we're really excited to share, the scholarship committee was working on, is this digitized file for you. So I'm gonna flip and see, can you guys see that? Did it switch? Yes, okay, I see Rachel nodding. So this is the Honors and Active Interactive Journal, Honors Action Interactive Journal for the Middle States region. And it is just digitized from headquarters. So it's not that we went and reinvented the wheel for advisors or those of you who are purists that are concerned. But what it has here is a place that you can either have your own, everyone in the chapter could have their own, or maybe you all want to collaborate on one file. And as you're going through setting your goals, and as you are, how did you choose the theme related to the honor study topic, you would talk about, we use the process of, you know, convergent thinking by ABC, DEFG. Or we decided to go with divergent thinking because ABC, and we decided XYZ. And you can put in all the components to your own chapter. So you'd be able to put in your deadlines. You'd be able to set your research objectives. You would be able to go in and look at who engage in the research and development of your question. So who are you collaborating with? Who are you having that fellowship component with? And you're able to kind of go through all the way through your research conclusions, looking at who did you serve, the demographics, your qualitative, your quantitative data, through the entire essence of your project in a document that now it's time to write the hallmarks. We have something right here. And what's exciting is with Classroom, this has already been sent out to everyone on Classroom, and you have your own copy, which is really great because now you don't have to make a copy. It's already in your drive. It's in Classroom. And if you have questions or things, you can share it with other members in your chapter and use this as a tool to help you along this path to Honors in Action. And Patty, I don't know if, is there anything else that you want me to talk about, or is that?
Does that also include the workbook? Did you, or is the
You want me to
workbook-
talk about that right now?
Yeah, real quick, so we know that, so that
Right.
they know this is specific to the Middle States region, the workbook.
Okay. So as we were sitting and talking about the Middle States region, we were looking at the ideas, and headquarters put out this amazing workbook. But the problem is it's a PDF, which is great if you can get together and write it down and discuss everything. But sometimes we don't want to collaborate over a Zoom call and sit on Zoom for hours upon hours upon hours a day. So what we did is we've made our version of the Honors in Action Interactive Workbook. And as you can see, each step has an interactive component that you can use with your chapter. You can work on one document to kind of go through the steps of honors in action. If you want, you can all type in different colors, but it sets you through literally step by step. You know, now I've got to do preliminary research. Well, how do I do preliminary research? It guides you with questions. It gives you a place where you can use a research matrix to draw your conclusions and look at your preliminary research, and a place that you can kind of input this information during a time of COVID that you might not be able to be in person collaborating. And that it's not pushed out yet, but it will be pushed out soon. We're wrapping it up through Classroom, and then you'll be able to have a copy of that as well.
Thank you, Nikki.
Welcome.
We appreciate that. Thanks for all of your hard work for that. We look forward to seeing all those pieces in the classroom this week, and we're excited for sure. Real quick, we're going to talk about, yes, we have self-study part of this program. There's things that we can't get to, and we hope that what we've added to the self-study piece for this particular program will help you with the different parts. So I'm going to turn that real quick over to Professor Gasparino real quick.
Thanks, Patty. So we're heading back to the leadership development series, and if you hadn't joined us for MSR Leads, we are doing the leadership development studies course that you can find on your portal. You do have to be a full member, but if you're a provisional member, Patty, I think you're helping out with that, right? So if you're a provisional member, you just need to have your advisor contact Patty, right? Or contact Patty directly, and we'll get you hooked up with that. So if you haven't started, we encourage you to start. If you've done the units for MSR Leads, we're adding some more throughout this that work really well that we think will help you with honors and action. And this week we're talking about Unit 5, which is team building. And all of the things that are incorporated in Unit 5 in team building really help to provide activities to increase effectiveness of groups and working as individuals within groups, right? And so it's really important to remember that when you're building a team, right, how you build that team and what you're doing to build that team. And when you're on a team, like identifying yourself as, are you a leader or are you a follower, right? And when, what is your idea of a successful team and what is your role and how would you contribute to that team's success, right? So we came up with some questions that you're going to see on the Padlet in the Google Classroom that really focus on 3 of the different TED Talks in Unit 5, and they all have to do with this notion of building a team. So you're going to look at the Marshmallow Challenge and see if you can address that into how you're working with your honors and action team, right? You're going to talk a little bit about goals and hopes, and knowing that failure is part of teamwork, and that the line to success is not straight. There's a lot of failures in between, right? And we learn from failure. We don't necessarily learn from success. So that's a really big part of that. And your honors and action may have some things that, some hiccups and some things that you have to overcome. And finally, the last TED Talk that you're going to focus on for the self-study is Simon Sinek's How Great Leaders Inspire Action. And he talks about the why. And the why is really important because it connects your purpose. And that is something that we're really going to drive home in the next couple of weeks as we do this, is why, and Patty talked about it earlier, why are we doing this project? What purpose is it going to serve? And I will tell you that you will use algebra. You won't even know that you're using algebra, but you will use algebra in your life, right? So we encourage you to do the leadership development studies. And if you haven't started, I really encourage you to start. And if you've been doing it all along, hop onto Unit 5. You're going to really like it.
Thanks, PG. Before I turn it over to Bella and Evan for each of the research levels, there's also going to be part of the self-study would be reading the Honor Study Program Guide, just pages 5 through 7. And we would encourage you to post your reflection of the essay on the Classroom Padlet, much kind of like what you heard from Brianna and Rachel tonight. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you're thinking about it. Not only you know, for the benefit of yourself and also to be able to think out loud, but it may also help others get a better understanding of what others are thinking, and it can assist them. The other two things that we're going to ask you to do, and I'm going to explain real quick before I turn it over to Bella, is we want you to do at least 2 levels of Research Edge, because we want you to have that. We want you to earn all your badges by the end of this week by the end of this program for Research Edge. We're going to ask you to do level 1 because that will reinforce everything that we talked about this week, and level 2, which is all about academic investigation, and that'll cover us for next week. So we'll be right on time. So Bella, real quick, talk to me about level 1. What was you there? I don't know, did we lose Bella? Yeah, because I know she was having trouble with her phone. She there, Bella? No? All right, level 2. Who had level 2? Evan?
That was me.
All right, Evan, we'll start with you.
Okay, so we're going like the Star Wars movies, right? To the
Yeah.
moon. Yeah. So level 2 of Research Edge is all about academic investigation. So it's about finding your sources, knowing your sources are trustworthy, knowing they're pertaining to your topic, they're useful sources. And it shows you really how to do the research rather than just do the thinking. So you've done all the thinking, you've done all the planning and everything, and now it's time to actually figure out the truth about what you're researching. So level 2 of Research Edge is going to take you through how to find proper sources using things like your college librarian, your college what is it, the databases.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll show you exactly what constitutes a good trustworthy source, and how to make sure you're taking your sources in the correct context and the correct framework that they're being presented to you in.
Okay, great. Thanks, Evan. So I don't know if Bella was able to get reconnected again, but you pretty much saw level 1 we were working on tonight together in the beginning when I was talking. So go back. It shouldn't take you long to do the first level. Do the pretest and then start over and start again. And we want to see everybody get completed. One more thing before we go, I wanted real quick to say to the advisors, next week we will have an advisors meeting during breakout. So please join us again. And next week we'll be doing investigate and analyze. And before we do even that, I just want to remind folks where you can find the classroom. So if you go to, hold on a second, the region's webpage, which, okay, here we go. And then, why is this not ever working the same way twice? Here we go. So the Middle States page this is what it looks like, middle-states-region.ptk.org. And in a couple weeks, that's going to get condensed to just be MSR. So I'm looking forward to those days. You'll want to click the tab that says Google Classroom. So if you want information on how to join the classroom, you want to start here, okay? If you've already joined the classroom, there's the training guide and how to do it. If you've already joined the classroom, you'll be able to get to it really quick by just, there you go. And here's the classroom. This main part here is like the stream page, much like the news feed on social media. And you're more than welcome to post in this area. If you have a question, you can anybody who's joined the classroom can do that. But all the classwork you'll find under the classwork tab. And for Regional Honors Institute, look to the left. And then you will see our first week, everything has been posted here. The Padlets, the guide, the Honors in Action, where to find it on the website. And then we also have week 1 is where all the Padlets are, the flip grid and all this. So you want to look at those 2 sections this week. And eventually we'll be putting up week 2 then. We never like to end a meeting without hearing from all of you. So I want to hear from Delaware. I know we lost some people because they had to go for kids.
I'm still here.
Yay, Robin, another 4 for 4 goal getter. Yay. Yay, congrats to him. Maryland, is Maryland?
Oh, yeah.
All right, very good. New Jersey,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just you, Evan. All right. Yeah, now I hear some more.
Here, Evan. We got your back.
Yeah.
Yay, Morgan. Awesome. And as always, Middle States region.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this evening. We are here for you through our social media, through email, from anywhere. If you have any questions, if you have a question tomorrow, please let us know. I think we got to all the questions in the, except for, I will say this. There was an issue with Research Edge and the badges, that they weren't being sent right away. I think they've worked on that. If you still have not received your badges, please email me directly and I will get that taken care of for you. Okay? If you complete all 4 edges like Robin, Raven, and a couple of others have done, the region will cover all the costs for your pins and we will order the pins and get those pins to you. So you got to complete all 4 now. Great job, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great night. See you all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, everyone.